Hi, I'm Una. Welcome to Una's Crafty Cards. I'd like to show you how I made this card using an Altenew set antique roses. Roses make a suitable embellishment for cards for many different occasions, and you can change up the design of this card by changing the colour you use, the colour combinations you use in the roses. This is a really easy set to layer, so let's dive in. This is how the set comes. There's a layering guide on the back of the package for the flowers and the leaves. Each of the roses has 5 layers and the leaves have 3 layers each. There's a little cluster and 2 single leaves. There is a matching set of dies as well, and this makes the flowers and leaves really easy to cut out. I'm using Frosty Pink from Altenew to stamp the first layer. Now this looks blotchy, but it dries really smoothly. I clean off my stamp, remove it from the lid of the Misty and take up my second stamp. And you see the groove in the bottom there and the shape across the top. Those fit really easily into place. There's no trouble placing this stamp at all for the second layer. And for the second layer, I'm using another Altenew ink, Coral Berry. I love Altenew inks. This is my first time using them. If you don't mind inks staining your stamps, you'll absolutely love these. They dry so smoothly. For the third layer, it's the shape across the top that fits easily into place. And I'm using a Memento ink, Rosebud. And for this fourth stamp, it's the bottom section of that top piece that you can fit really easily into place again, and using another Memento ink, Love Letter, and Ruby Red for the centre. Now this is only a tiny piece, but it does give such depth and definition. Gorgeous. I use the die to cover the shape and take it away to my Gemini Junior to cut it out. And it cuts beautifully with just a small white border. I'll show you very quickly how the second rose layers as well. Frosty Pink for the first layer, and then it's the groove on the bottom that fits really easily into place. And with the third and the fourth layers, it's that section on the top. And by looking down through the stamp, you can see really easily how it fits into place. You do need to put your head over the stamp and look down through it. And then the center again gives depth and definition. So really easy to do. The leaves present no difficulty either. I use frayed leaf to do the solid layer, and I stamp it twice just for depth of colour. The middle layer, again, very easy, just match up the bottom of each of the leaf cluster and the single leaves. By looking down through the stamp, you can see quite easily how they fit into place. I use Memento bamboo leaves for that layer and forest glades for the top layer, the darkest bit. I wasn't completely happy with how I stamped the middle leaf there, and then experimented with doing the dark layer first and then the middle layer, and then finally the lightest layer, which was the first layer the first time around. And I do believe I have a preference for doing it this way. It's easy anyway, but this was just slightly easier. I think I'll try it this way with all of the leaves the next time. I cut out lots of flowers and leaves to play around with. This is, for me, is the most difficult part of card making. Deciding how to lay out my pieces to make it visually attractive. And I liked this sort of sideways triangle. My piece of press and seal has bits stuck to it because it pulled off. The last time I made a card, it pulled off some of the ink, but I think that was user error. I'm being more careful this time. I'll set that aside while I use a Newton's Nook stencil to create a background. I use low-tack tape to adhere it to my glass mat. And then I'm a bit suspicious that this low-tack tape isn't low-tack enough, so I'm using some post-it notes to adhere the stencil to the back of my card. The ink I'm using is a Distress ink by Tim Holtz, Antique Linen. It's a light ink and it's my go-to ink for things that I don't want to be too distracting. A lot of crafters use it for no-line colouring. I'm using a makeup brush to apply it. And then I clean off this makeup brush with a cloth. I find this is the only ink that I can really colour, really clean satisfactorily with a microfiber cloth. For other inks, I find I have to wash them. This is high-tack, fast-tack glue in a Gina K bottle. And I adhere that to all the back of all the flowers, and then very carefully turn it over and place it on the card. And being super cautious, I pull away the press and seal with no difficulty this time. Then I pull up the top layers and squeeze in glue underneath to adhere anything that's not adhered properly to the card. And using foam tape and glue, I adhere my sentiment, which I got from the Peruvian Lily set, another beautiful layering set that I'll link to here in the top corner. The embellishments are from Lucy's, Little Things from Lucy, and they look like drops, water droplets, and they're quite large, so I just use my fingers to adhere them. I usually use a pick, a Marvy tool to pick up jewels and embellishments, but my finger is the best tool this time. And the last thing I do is apply a layer of my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen, just to give a little extra something. I think you can see here when I tilt it in the light how nice that is. It's not too distracting, but it just gives that little bit of shimmer. Thank you so much for visiting my channel. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and I'd love if you'd consider subscribing to my channel. Leave me a comment below if you'd like to say anything at all. I'll respond as soon as I can. All the best for now. Bye.